This is my very late post-fight for Keith Thurman versus Jesus Soto Karass. Overall, I thought it was a decent performance by Keith Thurman against a very brave and game Jesus Soto Karass. Karass is a journeyman, but he always comes to fight and he always comes to try and win. And it was no different in this fight. In the first round, Keith Thurman was actually rocked by a shot from Jesus Soto Karass, which to me is a little worrying. Not just the fact he was rocked, because Jesus Soto Karass is not a guy who necessarily carries big one-punch power. And Thurman was certainly rocked. He maintained his composure very well. He didn't panic. It was only a little momentary thing where he was slightly dazed and you could see his legs did a little funny dance, but he recovered quickly. But it shows that he can certainly be hurt by a guy like Soto Karass who don't have a great deal of one-punch power. And not only that, but after the fight, Keith Thurman said that he likes to test out his chin sometimes. You know, he was in there against an opponent who he would have got, he's going to get not much credit for beating because Soto Karass has been beaten by a bunch of people before. Yeah, it's no big deal beating Soto Karass. It's no big deal having that name on your resume, at least on paper. So to go in there with a guy like Soto Karass and then hope to get your chin tested, just put it out there to be hit, you know, if he really did do that, that's worrying. I know Keith Thurman is a cavalier kind of guy and he likes to knock out and he likes to live dangerously, but you don't want to see him do something like that. You know, that's borderline stupidity. You know, we don't want to see him stick his chin out just for the sake of sticking his chin out. You know, if he had been in there with a different opponent, may not necessarily have a great KO ratio, but, you know, could have been a Darnell Boone of the welterweight division, the Keith Thurman story might have been over there and then. So it was a very foolish thing to do. So I didn't like that from Keith Thurman. And, you know, he did get rocked, although Soto Karass wasn't really able to capitalize on it. And Thurman did recover very quickly. And for the rest of the fight, from rounds 1 through to round 9, I believe the fight ended in round 9. From rounds 1 to 9, Thurman was, for the most part, having his way with Soto Karass. Soto Karass, as I say, he makes you work hard. He's a journeyman, but he makes you work hard. He ain't just going to come in the ring and just lay down and give it to you easy. All right, he's going to make sure that you're going to have to work for victory and he's going to actually try and beat you. And Soto Karass is coming off some of the best wins of his career over Selkirk Aiden, who he beat better than Robert Guerrero beat, and Andre Berto, who he also beat better than Robert Guerrero beat. So that's some of the best form of Soto Karass's career. And he came into this fight against Keith Thurman with a lot of ambition. And actually, this fight only happened because Robert Guerrero turned down a fight with Keith Thurman. And in fact, the current WBA welterweight champion, Marcus Maidana, has also previously turned down a fight with Keith Thurman. So Keith Thurman is a guy at the moment who is seen as a bit of a danger man in the welterweight division. And he certainly has the mentality of a danger man. He's a gunslinger. He likes to let his hands go. He likes to throw power shots. And for the most part, as I say, he was having his way with Soto Karass in this fight, landing good shots, hooks and uppercuts and you know, jabs and whatnot, moving around the ring a lot, as you have to against Soto Karass. Even Marcus Maidana was forced to move around the ring against Soto Karass. And interestingly, Maidana managed to stop Soto Karass a couple rounds earlier, actually 4 rounds earlier, I think 3 or 4 rounds earlier than Keith Thurman stopped him. But Maidana actually had a much harder time than Keith Thurman did with Soto Karass. Maidana was really under a lot of pressure, and at one stage, I think the round before Maidana stopped Soto Karass, it looked as though Maidana himself might get stopped. He was really under a lot of pressure and looked very uncomfortable and almost overwhelmed by the pressure that Soto Karass was putting on him. Right? He had quite a lot of problems with Soto Karass in that fight. Thurman, for the most part, was more comfortable in there. He was working away steadily, using his legs, and Karass's pressure didn't affect Thurman as badly as it affected Maidana. But the 9th round came and Keith Thurman put his shots together. I believe he drop Soto Karass earlier in the fight? I think he did. I know it's been obviously a week since I watched the fight, so I think he dropped him twice in the fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. He certainly hurt him anyway early in the fight, and then he dropped it. No, I think he might have just dropped him once. Please correct me in the comment section below if you can remember more accurately than me. But he dropped Soto Karass in the 9th round anyway with a nice combination, knocked him out, and that's all she wrote. So yeah, overall, I thought it was a fairly impressive performance by Keith Thurman. He dispatched of Jesus Soto Karass, and hopefully now he could get that fight with Marcus Maidana. He could get a fight with, you know, one of the other titleists at 147 pounds, maybe even Floyd Mayweather. You know, there's a whole heap of different fighters he could face now. Manny Pacquiao, you know. I'm not sure if Keith Thurman is signed to Golden Boy Promotions. I'm not 100%. I don't think he is. I think he's kind of independent, unless he's recently signed to them. I believe he's kind of independent, or he's with one of the smaller promoters and he works with Golden Boy. That's the last I heard anyway. So Keith Thurman against Pacquiao, given the fact he's not exactly with Golden Boy, could be a possibility. Or you could have Keith Thurman against Tim Bradley. I believe he was mandatory for Bradley's title for a while. Not sure if he still is. There's a whole heap of different fights out there for Keith Thurman. He says he's willing to fight anyone. In a post-fight interview, he wants everyone in the welterweight division. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see who he takes on going forward. And he is a dangerous puncher. He does have a cavalier mentality. Some of his weaknesses are he's not that defensively good. He takes a lot of chances, but he takes a lot of chances because he wants the knockout. Also, Keith Thurman is not that quick compared to a lot of the other welterweights, compared to people like Devon Alexander, Manny Pacquiao, even people like Tim Bradley, Floyd Mayweather, you know, Amir Khan, who'll be fighting at 147 pounds. These guys are faster than Keith Thurman, at least in terms of hand speed. It was noticeable watching Keith Thurman against Soto Karass that his hand speed was nowhere near as quick as Andre Berto's hand speed. Berto's got way quicker hands than Keith Thurman, but obviously Berto has a whole heap of other flaws in his game which kind of take away from the fact that he's got tremendous hand speed. But yeah, Keith Thurman ain't the quickest guy hand speed wise, does have defensive lapses here and there, and it's interesting looking at Keith Thurman's stats. I believe he's only like 5'7", so he's actually one of the, you know, not that tall for a welterweight. He's only 5'7". Yeah, that's not that tall. I actually thought he was taller than that the first time I saw him. I thought he'd probably be like 5'8", 5'9", or something like that. But apparently he's only 5'7", so not the tallest welterweight around either. But anyway, he's an interesting prospect, and it will be nice to see him matched against some of the top guys in the division, because as I say, Thurman always comes for the knockout. He loves the knockout. He loves throwing big shots. He loves getting stuck in, even if it means putting himself at risk. So that always makes for entertaining fights. So anyway, drop your comments below. Let me know how you felt about this performance by Keith Thurman against Jesus Soto Karass, and where you see Keith Thurman going in the future, how you think he would fare against any of the current titleists, Sean Porter, Manny Pacquiao, Tim Bradley, Floyd Mayweather, obviously, and there's another titleist out there right now, I'm pretty sure, whose name escapes me, Marcus Maidana, obviously, as well. Yeah, so let me know how you think he would fare against the other titleists. I just mentioned someone who I'm not even sure was a titleist. Who's the titleist now? You got Mayweather, Marcus Maidana, Sean Porter, Pacquiao. Is Pacquiao even a titleist? I think they made up some title for him. Anyway, drop your comments below. This is Hatman. I'm out.